38-ish, somewhere around there. So I'm going to keep this live session relatively short, maybe 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, we'll see. I was getting ready to make a regular video, a non-live video, and it's a different type of energy. Even if no one shows up to interact, just the fact that it's live sort of gives it more of a conversational tone than if I'm sitting and looking at a camera and just talking. The fact that someone could pop in, the fact that it's live now, that at any time a friend might come by, a friend that I know, a friend that I haven't met yet, just gives it different energy, an energy that I enjoy. So I will make some other videos, but for right now, let's do some live stuff. What I was saying in my first video attempt was teaching yoga, the true aspect of yoga, the entire path. Yoga is an 8-limbed path that goes from the yamas and niyamas, which are the ethical codes. Yamas are considered the path of abstaining from things, although that doesn't really hit it on the nail there. It's deeper than that. We're not just abstaining from things for the sake of not doing them. There's just a deeper practice at play. The niyamas are more of a sort of a code of conduct. Both are sort of code of conduct, but the yamas are more personal and the niyamas are broader into society. All of it serves to make us happier, more joyful, as a means of escaping the psychological addiction to suffering, which is key, because I don't think we ever escape suffering. I don't think we're meant to escape suffering. It's in the very fabric of existence, the fabric of life. But what yoga says, what Buddhism says, is that psychologically, emotionally, we suffer because we cling to the impermanent. And everything is impermanent. Everything. Anything that we can touch, anything that we can think, anything that we can feel emotionally, physically, doesn't matter. All of it is impermanent. And yet we cling to it as if it's going to last forever, or that we wish it would, and it won't. So we suffer. That's different than the suffering of sorrow, the suffering of heartbreak, suffering of grief. I know many people who say that they've escaped that. Maybe they have. I don't know. I can't know that type of thing in another person. We can't predict it. I doubt it. I think they're probably deeply fooling themselves. And I think that maybe they're denying that aspect of life. Again, I could be wrong. There's no telling how awakening occurs and how it's going to unfold. What's it going to be like for one person to another? Although it's a great game within certain circles to believe that there is this specific path because I'm on it and that's the way it unfolds and the way it should unfold for you. But as I always mention, my friend Robert Saltzman, author of the 10,000 Things, would say, awakening never ends. It just keeps going, it keeps expanding. We keep opening, new insights occur, old insights become obsolete. My path seems to be deepening with yoga. It's not about awakening, it's a way of, again, just being in life. It's a way that brings me a great sense of peace and enjoyment, the whole practice of it, from, again, the practicing of the ethical standpoints to the asanas, to pranayama, the breath work, to meditation, the whole aspect of it, all the way, all the stages of meditation. And that's the basics of the 8 limbs of yoga. It begins with the yamas, that personal code of conduct. Again, many people describe it as abstaining, the practice of abstaining. But again, it goes deeper. First yama is Ahimsa. And this is one I'll talk about 10 minutes or so, maybe. Again, it's not going to be a long talk. Ahimsa, often translated as nonviolence or non-harming. What an important means of conduct it is. Some people consider non-harm or non-violence as pacifism. Absolutely nothing to do with pacifism. There's nothing passive about non-harming. It's a very active and dynamic way of living your life. It's a fearless way of living your life because you are standing up to aspects of life that wish to put you down. And you're doing it with kindness and compassion and empathy. One of the greatest practitioners of Ahimsa, Mahatma Gandhi, toppled the British Empire, the premier military might at that time, without a single shot being fired from their end. They took beatings, they were imprisoned, they went on long marches, fasting for weeks, months at a time. Nothing passive about that. That legacy was passed down to Martin Luther King. Very impressed by Gandhi's method. He used it for his fight for civil rights for African Americans in the United States. He faced beatings, imprisonment, long marches. He fasted. He brought recognition to the movement, and he suffered greatly for it. Absolutely nothing passive about that type of courage. It's a practice that has a deep meaning for me. If need be, I would defend myself. I would defend my loved ones. I would defend a stranger in need. Nothing passive about it. I seek to not harm. I do it through my diet. I do it through my workouts. I work out hard, but all of it is for the sake of not harming myself, strengthening myself, bolstering myself, feeling good, feeling joyful. When we see non-harming and the importance that it plays and how it plays, the deeper aspects, that it's not just physical means. It means we're not harming ourselves with our thoughts, not holding ourselves down, putting ourselves down. We're not thinking violent thoughts about ourselves or against others. As the Buddha said, we're not punished for our anger, we're punished by our anger. The anger itself is punishment. High blood pressure, hypertension, feeling of discomfort, lashing out at loved ones. That's the punishment. Ahimsa is a practice. We don't get there overnight. We don't get there like that. We get there through meditation. We get there through the practice of asanas. We get there through breath work. And just by being aware. Coming back. Being kind to ourselves. The great art of yoga is the art of coming back to ourselves over and over and over again. If you were to harm a loved one, verbally, emotionally, and just recognize it. If you were to get upset about it, then you would be causing yourself more harm. Beating yourself up. I shouldn't have done that. I should have been better. I should have. Should-haves get you nowhere. You just come back. You just return. Apologize. You move on. That's being responsive versus being reactive, or being responsive to our reactiveness. That's the start. That's where we start. And we continue from there. Ahimsa reflects our diet as well. I might get into the whole plant-based thing, the whole vegan thing. I don't mean it in the sense that you need to go vegan or that you should go plant-based. If you eat meat, be careful where you get your meat from. I'd sooner have someone hunt or fish to get their meat, or raise it themselves, or buy it from someone who raises it themselves, than from the agribusinesses whose practice is anything but ahimsa. Animals are treated as a commodity. Happy Friday, Lewis. How are you? Again, animals are treated as a commodity. We take a chicken. Chickens actually have the emotional intelligence of a small child. That's not saying that they're as smart as a child. They have the emotional means of loving another being. I got a friend who raises chickens. Glad you're doing good, Lewis. I'm doing pretty well myself. I have a friend who raises chickens, and they will greet him every time he comes home, come running up to his car door. Absolutely love him. If you raise chickens yourself and you choose to use them for meat, that's on you. That's absolutely none of my business. I've got nothing to say about it. But when animals are used as a commodity in the agribusinesses, chickens are debeaked, unfeathered, hung by their feet, and kept alive indefinitely until they're ready to be slaughtered, months at a time. Or they're packed tight into cages. This is hard to hear, harder to see. I worked on a mule farm for a little while when I was in my teens. So again, I'm not saying don't eat meat. I'm not saying that being plant-based is the best way to go. We all make our personal decisions. But one thing to consider, when you're eating the meat that comes from an animal that was tortured, you are consuming the torture, you're consuming the fear, you're consuming the hormones that that animal was experiencing when it was brought to slaughter. All of it. So we think of it as harming the animal, but more so we are harming ourselves as well because of that. It's not so much meat that's bad for you. It's the antibiotics that are pushed in meat. It's the all the chemicals, preservatives that are put in most of the meat that we buy at the supermarket. It's far from being fresh. It's the hormones of the animals that lived in fear and torture that we're consuming that causes the harm. So, if you want to reduce the harm of that style of eating, buy local, fresh as possible, hunt, fish, organic, grass-fed, cage-free, little things. Reduces it. Doesn't end it, but it reduces it. That's the practice of ahimsa, and it's just basically being aware. And again, ahimsa is non-harm. Don't think of it as non-violence, which some people do. I know soldiers who have practiced ahimsa, non-harm, knowing that they would be shot at and they would shoot back in return if need be. The Bhagavad Gita talks about this. It's the path of surrender. That when you surrender everything to the action itself, you're free from the karma of the reaction. So we just let go. We do what's best in each situation. We become responsive. So that was basically what I wanted to talk about today. Ahimsa. The first yama in the 8-limb path of yoga. And possibly we'll work through the entire 8 limbs day by day, week by week, whenever we get that opportunity. Right now, though, I'll mention my 331 unbroken burpees. Give myself a pat on the back. Not my best. Last week I did 336, but I think it took me longer than 30 minutes. Today I did 331 in the 30 minutes. Pretty happy about that. It's another way of practicing non-harm, taking care of myself, and doing it joyfully. None of my workouts are torture. even the ones that are torture, even the ones that feel like torture. All brings me joy. Something brings you joy, true joy, not happiness. There's a difference. Thanks, Lewis. It's impressive by my standards. Others, 300 is a drop in the bucket. Not that I'm comparing. I'm always happy with everything I do because I can do it. Or maybe I should say, I'm always grateful for everything that I do because I can do it. That's a big thing because there's a lot of people who can't do what we do. There's a ton of people that can't do what you do. That's for damn sure. But hey, the fact that we can get up in the morning and move, give thanks for that every day. First thing my feet hit the floor in the morning, first thing I think about, thank you. The Christian mystic, Meister Eckhart, said, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that would be enough. And I believe it. I believe when you are grateful, you begin seeing all the things that you have to be grateful, and they increase. Good things come to people who are grateful for what they have, not because it's any type of magical thinking. It's just because you're grateful. You learn to appreciate what you have. It is what it is, says, shoot, 100 is impressive. More than that is just a bonus. I agree, 100%. Always keep that in mind. I've had a workout at 100 reps. Anything over that, like you said, is a bonus. Did I see the shoes you showed in my review? I don't recall. The last thing I can remember seeing, and I'll double check, was the glasses. Were they riding glasses? I believe. I saw the hat. I saw the razor. I saw the bottle, of course, that you started out with. What else did I see? A lot of good stuff. Good prices. I'm going to have to double check again because I don't remember the shoes. I'm sorry. What type of shoes did you get? I'm going to bring it up in a minute so that when I go off air, I will check out the shoes. Hiking shoes. Nice. I would definitely check it out. Bring it up here. Let's see. I'm going to bring it up. I've never heard of this company before.
Bucks, huh? Go ahead and buy yourself some Fox for like $100, huh? Or Temu.
I got you up.
$7.
It was the glasses, the last I saw.
Ooh, I can't wait to go riding.
Yep, riding glasses.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And
there they are.
These shoes, boy. Richard runs trails. Let me know what you think. Hiking shoes, baby. $22.
It is what it is. Says he thinks he sounds funny. Nah.
You guys want to know of any of this stuff? You know what I think about it after I use it? Let me know in the comment section below.
Definitely want to know.
Timu, baby. Look at that.
Definitely want to know what you think about the razor and the shoes. Those are nice looking lightweight hiking shoes. You could do an ultra on those. You could do a 50K. You could do your first 50K in those shoes. Just throwing it out there. I see that Richard likes the hat too. Thomas said that they look like Solomon's too, which are good shoes. Nice. That's a good haul. It is what it is. Says he's going to do his first hike in 2 weeks, and we'll definitely give a review. That's awesome. Looking forward to hearing that and hearing about the hike itself. Anytime you get out in nature, it's worth hearing about for anyone. It's a huge practice for me. Every morning before the sun comes up, I'm outside. Hey, if this company has tactical flashlights, let me know. I'm looking for a flashlight. This morning, before the sun came up, I was trying to track down 2 owls that were calling back and forth to each other. I covered almost 2 miles on the bike paths in my neighborhood looking for them. I absolutely love being out in nature before the sun comes up and right when the sun starts lighting up the sky. And then I'm out again later in the day. Oh, I remember seeing that flashlight. That's what I need. Lewis says it's called the Potato Chip Trail. And then he says that they do have flashlights. And I remember one of the things that he opened up was that flashlight. I definitely want something handheld. I have tons of headlamps that I use for racing. But I don't want to wear it for what I'm doing. I want a handheld, and I use it very sparingly. I don't like introducing artificial light into the night and affecting animals or even insects or birds. But just key moments to light something up when I need briefly. Handheld flashlight. Definitely what I need. All right, guys. So I'm going to end the session here today. I wanted to keep it brief. Trying to keep things in that 20-minute to half-hour mark. See how it goes. Sometimes it'll be longer. Sometimes shorter. Looking forward to... Thank you, Lewis. Appreciate you too, my friend. Looking forward to hearing how you like all of that stuff. Flashlight, the shoes, and the razor. You see what I'm pointing at when I say razor. I'm not pointing at my beard. I'm pointing at the top of my head. So you know what I use a razor for. Thanks. I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone does over the weekend. Getting in your reps, putting in the big work. Thanks for popping in today. Appreciate it. You guys have a good day.